Hi, this is Daniel O'Connor from Warbit, and this is a webinar recording. Warbit is an online platform which allows staff in organisations to swap and share surplus assets with other staff in the same organisation. If appropriate, those surplus assets, if they're not claimed internally, can be passed to third parties. In the next quarter of an hour, I will explain where Warbit came from, how it works, and how you can set up your own portal. First of all, I'll give a brief tour of the website. This is the domain address. In the UK, in other countries, it'll be a slightly different ending. When you land on the home page, you scroll down, you can first of all see the savings that the system has made current customers. I'll go into a bit more detail about these metrics, benefits of the system, and a few words from current customers. And you can see more endorsements here. You can see case studies here and some awards that our customers have picked up. Click this button to arrange a callback and we'll give you a ring, or you can sign up for a virtual live webinar here. Pricing, the case studies again, these are customer endorsements if you like, and then tour. This sort of breaks down the service into different parts, and there's a video accompanying most of these parts. So the admin features explain the control measures that the admin for the organizational portal can implement. This just summarizes how to find and claim items. This link summarizes how to build networks with other organizations. This bit details how the metrics work. This is very obvious. And then this bit here can summarize different staff inside your organization that Warbit helps. And then finally, this link here explains how customers are using Warbit to clear buildings quicker, more ethically, more sustainably than they currently do. Okay, I'll jump straight into the demonstration. So to summarize, so this is an online portal. Staff add assets via the device, PC, laptop, tablet. When staff add details of their item, they add certain conditions to it. I'll go into that in a bit more detail in a sec. Items are advertised initially to staff inside the organisation, and it's any asset. So we deal with anything from files and stationery right up to lab kit, vehicles. If internal staff don't claim the item or the asset, the administrator can automatically control what happens to that asset. It can either continue to be redistributed internally, or if the asset needs to be moved from its current, location, it can be moved into storage where staff can still view the item. I'll explain how that looks. If the item isn't required in the primary organisation, the item can automatically be advertised to third parties. The administrator for the primary system makes friend requests to other parties in the area to set up the sharing network with third parties. Once these friend requests are made, then that's set up automatically. So assets can be passed to third parties, charities, schools, and other public sector or private sector. The system handles or manages the legal transfer of ownership of the asset, which helps to manage liability and other legislation. On a bigger scale, what you then find is you have all of these organizational level marketplaces where staff are swapping and trading assets in different organizations. If those assets then become available, it can be traded with third parties. So what you get on a large scale, on a town or city or region-wide scale, is organizations swapping and sharing surplus assets. So this obviously reduces the incidence of purchasing new assets, which stops the environmental impact of the supply chain. It also makes it much more likely that an organisation will find a home for an asset rather than skipping it or wasting it. There are other benefits. It improves internal staff collaboration. It improves collaboration between organisations. It also improves the resilience of all. Okay, so there's a big resilience aspect as well. There is a good case study on the site, the Citywide partnership. Case study explains how the system works on a city-wide level, similar partnership. So let's explain how this works. Each organisation gets their own portal. This is Sunderland City Council, so this sits on the organisation's internet site or intranet site. From a standard user point of view, each staff member gets their own account, which must be approved by the admin who leads on the introduction of the service in that organisation. To search for an item, so for example, if I'm a staff member and I want to buy a chair or some stationery or get some storage today, instead of buying new, I just click search, and this will search what is available within my organisation today. Okay, so these are all available to claim for free now within the primary organisation. The staff member can also look further afield. The staff member can search within the region or nationally, or they can also search by postcode. Okay, let's just click nationally. So we're looking for items that are on a national scale now, and if I wanted to claim a waiting room chair today, or 62 stacking chairs, I could do that. You'll see these items are available within Sunderland, and I could claim them now. I could claim all 62 of those. I would have to agree to the terms and conditions. So this is a legal transfer of ownership form, which handles the transfer of the asset from one party to another, which manages the liability and other legislation. I can ask a question about the item if I'm not too sure. I can just hit claim now. Okay. Let's show you how we add an item. So staff members are encouraged, instead of disposing of items, they're encouraged to add an item. When they add an item, obviously it's made available to other staff in the first instance. Internal staff are always prioritised. If internal staff don't want it, it's then advertised to third parties if required. So let's just say we're going to add some chairs. This available from, the default will be today, but I can actually move this. For example, I might still be using these chairs as part of my current work, but I would like to preload them onto the site so that others can see them and add them to their watch list. And the deadline, advertise until is the deadline. That's the last point I want these assets in my ownership. If I have photos, great. I can upload them from my camera or my hard drive in the usual manner. If I don't have photos, I can actually choose from a photo library. We have a library of common easy chairs, common photos. If I want to add more detail, I can, but that's not that necessary in this case. Then we add the item. So it's very quick and easy to add items. If I was doing a building move, or if I was adding bulk items, I can add another like this, and it'll repeat the details. So obviously we could change that to, instead of easy chair, change it to table. Change the dimensions, and all this is the same. Let's change the image. That's the item. So it's very quick and easy to actually just bulk upload lots of items. You'll see we've added those easy chairs and the coffee tables, in 3 minutes. So very easy. Let's go back to the landing page. You see we do training sessions as well. These are free training for your staff, and this then just goes through to a webinar for your staff members. Okay. you see that the dashboard or the account tracks all the sort of claims and whatnot that the staff member has made. You'll notice on the system that most items are giveaway or donations, but you can also use the system to loan out items within the organisation. So each department doesn't need a laminator. Each department only uses that laminator once every few months, so you can actually add all the laminators onto the system, start loaning them out rather than buying new. If a staff member does a search and doesn't find an item that they want, they can actually add an item to their watch list, to their wish list, and then if anybody adds that item in the future, the staff member will get a notification about it. There's also a watch list, and this is a list of items that the staff member is actually watching that aren't actually available yet. They will get a notification when these items become available. And also there's a notification area where staff can choose how often they get email notifications. Okay, so that's how the staff members use the system. Let's sign out, and I'm going to show you the different controls that the administrator can implement on the system to ensure that there is adequate control over liability and other things. So again, so I'm logged in as the administrator here. Again, the administrator regular training. Okay, in this area, I'm just going to show you the settings within. So when an organisation sets up a Warbit system, there's always an administrator who looks after the implementation and the rollout of the portal. The first level of control, you will see that the administrator approves each staff member. The administrator also approves any friend requests from other organisations. The administrator also fixes the settings. So in the settings, the administrator can control how users behave. They can control how the users integrate with other parties. They can also control which assets are on the system, and they can also customize all the messages. Let's quickly run through the settings. The administrator can actually control what staff see. So, for example, from a safety point of view, staff might only want to see internal items only, or you might want to allow them to see externally. And then there's all these different ways of controlling staff. So controlling third-party access. The system works in a tiered redistribution priority list. So priority 1 is internal staff. They get first access to the assets. Priority 2 is the friends that you've made on the system, so other organisations. Priority 3 is the rest of Warbit. So you can decide, or the administrator can decide, how many days before the expiry date of the item that they're advertised to priority 2 or priority 3. Okay. The administrator can make the network private if they wish, so that it's for staff only, internal staff only, and no third parties. And then we now move into control of assets. So this is fairly obvious. The administrator can decide if staff can actually donate or loan or recycle assets. And then the administrator can also control electrical items. So, for example, the organisation may wish just to trade electrical items internally rather than externally. The administrator can also turn off certain categories. Okay, so for example, you might want to turn off the actual ability to trade electrical devices holding data, or you might want to turn off desks, because a lot of desks are quite big and offices are shrinking in size, so you might want to turn off the desk category so you can control what sort of assets are traded. The administrator can also customize the messages that are sent automatically to their staff. This is a way of controlling how staff behave. Okay, the administrator, we provide a template document which will fire by default, but the administrator can also customize these messages. For example, on the confirmation message, hi, Joe blogs, I confirm your claims be successful. That will include the item details, and then the administrator will add onto this how you go about doing the transfer internally. So lots of different messages there that need to be looked at. At the bottom here we have two messages which are important. This is the third party terms and conditions that any third party claiming off your organisation will have to agree to. And we provide this as a legal document, but it's a template. What we advise is you pass this to your legal team and they go over that and add and edit it as they see fit. And then also we have some guidelines for your internal staff. So you can't have a legal agreement between internal staff. So this is just a guideline. So this is again customizable. I'm going to finally go to performance data and metrics. The administrator can view this performance data, and staff will always be able to see this. Staff and visitors will always be able to see this type of performance data, these 5 columns. The performance data, there's another video which goes into a lot more detail on this on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/warpitTV. But basically, we track every single trade on your system. This allows you to report accurately on the benefits that reuse bring to your organisation. Okay. We also guarantee that you will save at least 5 times your investment in the first year. If you don't, we give you your money back and we give you the software for free for a year. So that summarises the Warbit service. I'm going to very quickly go back over this diagram, which just to cement your learning. So what we have here is an online platform which allows staff to swap and trade surplus assets using their devices. Swap and trade surplus assets using their devices. Staff add details of the assets, which we've gone through. They're advertised to internal staff first. If internal staff don't require the asset after the deadline, it can be added to the storage where it can still be viewed in the marketplace. If there is no storage or if the asset wants to be sent to third parties, it can be. The system manages that automatically. On a bigger scale, you have lots of organisations sharing surplus assets internally and then linking up with third parties to share assets on a city and region-wide scale. That's the end of the webinar. I hope you enjoyed that. If there are any questions, please use the comment feature on the YouTube comment section below. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to seeing you joining Warbit.